'cause we're gonna be legends. Gonna get their attention. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary. Yeah, we're gonna be legends. Gonna teach them all a lesson. Got this feeling in our souls we carry. It's about to be legendary.
Here at the RCMP. I think this vehicle is a lemon. That's nice. If only it went.
Are you going to behave, Dill? Alright. You sure, Conan? Conan?
What you gonna do? It's getting close to sunset in Saskatoon. It's beautiful out here. We're just hanging out on the train bridge. You can see the tracks right here behind us. And now I'll just pan over here so you can get a look at the city.
You don't get this shit in Melbourne.
Hopefully a train won't show up because I don't think I can handle it.
Cousin.
Is that right? Way up we go. Been up and down that road. Way up, oh no. We gon' burn the whole house down. Watch me standing in line. You're only serving lies. You got something to hide. We gon' burn the whole house down. We gon' burn the whole house down. Yeah, used to let it go. Walking to the show, gawking at the tricks of your sleeve. Too good to be true. Full I'm in a room, full of entertainers and thieves. Used to let it go. Oh no. Way up we go. Been up and down that road. Way up, oh no. We gon' burn the whole house down. Watch me standing in line. You're only serving lies. You got something to hide. We gon' burn the whole house down. We gon' burn the whole house down. Should I hang my head low? Should I bite my tongue? Or should I march with every stranger ready to get shit done? Used to hang my head low, now I hear it loud. Every stranger for Twitter is gonna burn this down. Way up we go. Been up and down that road. Way up, oh no. We gon' burn the whole house down. Watch me standing in line. You're only serving lies. You got something to hide. We gon' burn the whole house down. We gon' burn the whole house down. We burn it down. We gon' burn the whole house down. Keep getting these wind gusts. Oh, here's the end. Woo! All right, that was
That,
just
ladies and gentlemen, was the never-ending train
that was a little crazy.
in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Holy mackerel!
Loved it.
Holy shit!
That was quite the
That
ride.
would have been like 1.5 kilometers long.
It was a lot longer in my own mind.
Cousin, I know you live on the edge, but I hear a pack of wolves and it's getting dark and we're lost, so I think it's a great time to do an SOS song.
We are in Wallaskewin. I can't even pronounce it. I'll let my cousin pronounce it. Wallaskewin, which is pretty much in the middle of nowhere in Canada. Would that be accurate? And we're walking. We're doing a long hike, and it's really good. And hopefully I don't die by the end of it. So then I see this going that way. I think we'll go this way. Because if we go that way, we might actually do another 6 or 7 Ks. And then wind up. Goodness gracious, who knows where. The outskirts of Canada, ladies and gentlemen. This is a great walk. It's a great walk, great hike with my cousin. He normally jogs 11K just out of nowhere, you know, just the spur of the moment. I can't even walk 5 and I plan it. Right here, we are where we've been for the last hour and a half. Nowhere, open land. It's nice, it's good. It's different than Melbourne. Melbourne, we don't have this. We've got the Grapians, we've got the 12 Apostles, but even though there's less than 12 now. But here, it's really good. It's like a video game. It's like GTA when you just drive and you never run out of road to drive. You never run out of path to walk. There's a good benefit to that. The benefit is you lose a lot of weight because you're walking. The downside is you got to walk all the way back. So for anyone that doesn't know, here is the buffalo jump, where buffaloes used to fall. There's a whole history behind it, but I won't bore you. It's kind of a bit offensive for some people. That's cool. Hey, look it up. Google's your best friend. Here, they all used to fall, and then if any survived the fall, gut them. It's actually pretty bad because hey, back then we didn't have veganism or vegetarianism. Now we do. Back then we didn't. But it sounds kind of always the bridge. It sounds kind of extreme. I love bridges. You don't get to see bridges often when you go out into the desert. So when you see a bridge, it's nice. It's very, very nice. You know, this isn't Greece. You know, this isn't some other, you know, incredible sightseeing adventure. Anytime you get to see a bridge out in the desert, it's a breath of fresh air. It really is. It really is. I love bridges. I love them. People are going to think I'm going to jump off one. Even though I've been told to jump off one. People don't like me very much. Go jump off a bridge. Hey, but I digress. My cousin's way ahead. You know, he's doing me a favour. He should be jogging. But instead he's walking with me, power walking, and I still can't keep up. I tell you, losing weight is not easy. People think losing weight is easy. Whew, I tell you what, hey, I've lost over 20 kilos. I know. Thank you. I've lost over 20 kilos because all my time in Canada, alright, I've just been exercising with my cousin. And I still haven't gone to America yet, but I've been sitting here and training. I've kicked it in Canada all this time and I've been training like no tomorrow. So when I get to the US, I'll be very fit. When I get back to Australia, I'll be as skinny as a stick. And I'll be toned as well, because I'll do weights. Anyone can lose weight. So if you're sitting on your ass, get off your ass and start walking, start jogging, start lifting some weights and lose it. Lose it. Or lose your mind. There's a river on the other side of those trees. Not often you see a river in a desert. But Canada's very unique. A lovely country. I recommend anyone to come to Canada. It's very lovely. America is very rough. I prefer Canada over America. Canada has a great film market as well. You know, America's not the end all be all. Alright. Canada's pretty good. Great film market. There's a great series. Slasher. Thriller. Beautiful. Made in Canada. Check it out. It's on Netflix.
Failure was not an option. I gotta
Almost caught up. Alrighty, which way? Which way do we go? To turn or to turn? Let's go left. Let's go left and see where it takes us. So we've been walking for the last 3.5 hours, mate, and we're still going. We haven't collapsed, we haven't died yet. We're perfectly fine. And we just need water. We need water, don't we? A lot of water. Whew. I tell you, it's the desert that never ends. It's a desert that never ends, but I love it. I love it. Cardio 101. This is Saskatchewan, ladies and gentlemen, Canada. The outskirts of Canada. This ain't no Toronto, this ain't no Calgary, this ain't no Vancouver, this ain't no Montreal, this ain't no Ottawa. This is the pure outskirts of Canada. Why? Because I'm a crazy son of a bitch. I'm a crazy bastard. I'm a crazy yabbity. Mate, you come on an adventure, you go to the brim, to the outskirts of a place, and you check it out. Like the outback in Australia. And hey, there's nothing like that. But this matches it, I'd say. Oh fuck me, this is a big mountain. Oh, this is after we've done fucking 30 k's of a walk. I think we're going on, we're going on 35 k's. Got my little Fitbit with me. I made it up. Oh fuck me. Oh, whew. My cousin's all the way down there. He's kneeling down and taking a very, very strategic photograph because he loves photography. I'm gonna stop talking now because I can't talk. I'm too fucked after that massive hill. Oh goddamn. Oh fuck. Yeah, and this is one river of many, one ocean of many, one yabbido of many, which Saskatchewan does not have, because Saskatchewan, Canada, doesn't have any rivers, doesn't have any water, doesn't have any sea, doesn't have any ocean, does not have any beaches. I think my cousin forgot I'm here. Oh crap, I don't have strength to yell. That's okay. I'll catch up with you in the next hour or so. Off. Beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful. Saskatchewan, Canada. Come down here. Just, yeah, don't come alone, because you get eaten by the wolves. You get eaten by the bears. You get eaten by the tigers. And you get eaten by the yabbity. So we were all the way on the other side of that river. We're about where those, just where those trees are there. We came all the way across the bridge, and we came all the way up. That's actually a long distance. And we started even further back. We started around, I've lost track of where we started. All the way out there. We've been here for 5 hours. Great workout. I think that's great cardio. I think that's enough cardio for the entire year. That's about, I'd say about 25 k's from where I pointed, and then 35 from where we initially started. This is all, you know, small and tiny. Video doesn't do justice, but it's a long, long way. In fact, you can see all the way about 100k down. Very tiny. Let me zoom in. Whew. Oh, what happened over here? Hopefully one of those propeller planes didn't blow up. I refuse to get on the propeller plane. That's another podcast for another time. Oh my god. Well, we're out in the desert. Maybe a propeller plane landed in the desert and boom. Hopefully everyone evacuated with parachutes. God damn. That's why I'm scared of propeller planes, man. You just never know what could happen. I love exercise too. I think 5 hours is enough. 5 hours is plenty. Back at home, you know, I walk for half an hour. Sometimes I do an hour. 5 hours. And in the desert, I think it's time. What do you say, Cuz? Should we call it? 5 hours of walking. 5 hours of walking. See, my cousin needs to do at least 8 hours. 5 hours isn't enough. He's a gun, he's a machine. He jogs so many marathons all around the world. And I tell you what, he looks younger than me. He's fitter than me. Mate, he probably gets more ladies than me. Alrighty, I reckon 5 hours is enough for Johnny K. Too much walking.
I will kiss and tell.
Am I gonna meet Kaylee in Vancouver? Am I gonna meet Kaylee in Vancouver? I might just go up to her and say, look, can we be friends? Can we shake on a shake? Like that. I reckon she'll go for it. I reckon I should do that with her. I reckon it'll work.
You don't offend me with horse shit, I don't offend you with facts.
Why should they take offence that I don't believe in their God or any other God? And I'd say to them, you know, tell me the reasons why you don't believe in all the other gods, and that's the reason I don't believe in yours. I see some of these religious fundamentalists saying that they've told their 5-year-old children that if they turn out gay, they will burn in hell. That to me is child abuse.
Some myths deserve to be broken apart out of respect for the human intellect. That, no, when you're writhing on the ground and froth is coming out of your mouth, you're having an epileptic seizure. You have not been invaded by the devil. We got this one figured out, okay?
Religion has actually convinced people that there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything you do every minute of every day. And the invisible man has a special list of 10 things he does not want you to do. And if you do any of these 10 things, he has a special place full of fire and smoke and burning and torture and anguish where he will send you to live and suffer and burn and choke and scream and cry forever and ever till the end of time. But he loves you.
Just because they're offended by someone being gay, it doesn't mean they're right. You know, it's a strange thing that, because being gay is a choice. No, being gay isn't a choice. You know, I want to go, well, go, you try it then. If it's a choice, have a go. See how much you like it.
If you knew nothing about science and you read, say, the Bible, the Old Testament, which in Genesis is an account of nature, that's what that is. And I said to you, give me your description of the natural world based only on this. You would say the world was created in 6 days and that stars are just little points of light, much lesser than the sun. And in fact, they can fall out of the sky, right? Because that's what happens during the Revelation. One of the signs that the second coming is that the stars will fall out of the sky and land on Earth. To even write that means you don't know what those things are. Everybody who tried to make proclamations about the physical universe based on Bible passages got the wrong answer. Right. So what happened was, when science discovers things and you want to stay religious, or you want to continue to believe that the Bible is unerring, what you would do is, you would say, well, let me go back to the Bible and reinterpret it. Then you'd say things like, oh, they didn't really mean that literally, they meant that figuratively.
I say, fine, pray for anything you want. Pray for anything. But what about the divine plan? Remember that? The divine plan. Long time ago, God made a divine plan. Gave it a lot of thought, decided it was a good plan, put it into practice. And for billions and billions of years, the divine plan has been doing just fine. Now you come along and pray for something. Well, suppose the thing you want isn't in God's divine plan. What do you want him to do? Change his plan? Just for you? Doesn't it seem a little arrogant? It's a divine plan. What's the use of being God if every rundown schmuck with a $2 prayer book can come along and fuck up your plan? And here's something else, another problem you might have. Suppose your prayers aren't answered. What do you say? Well, it's God's will. Thy will be done. Fine, but if it's God's will and he's going to do what he wants to anyway, why the fuck bother praying in the first place? Seems like a big waste of time to me.
Okay, just think about the Muslims at this moment who are blowing themselves up, okay, convinced that they are agents of God's will. There is absolutely nothing that Dr. Craig can say against their behavior in moral terms, apart from his own faith-based claim that they're praying to the wrong God. If they had the right God, what they were doing would be good on divine command theory. Now, I'm obviously not saying that Dr. Craig or all religious people are psychopaths and psychotics, but this to me is the true horror of religion. It allows perfectly decent and sane people to believe by the billions what only lunatics could believe on their own. Okay, if you wake up tomorrow morning thinking that saying a few Latin words over your pancakes is going to turn them into the body of Elvis Presley, okay, you have lost your mind. Okay. But if you think more or less the same thing about a cracker and the body of Jesus, you're just a Catholic.
Probably going to be the most simplest one for you to answer, but what if you're wrong?
Well, what if I'm wrong? I mean, anybody could be wrong. We could all be wrong about the flying spaghetti monster and the pink unicorn and the flying teapot. You happen to have been brought up, I would presume, in the Christian faith. You know what it's like not to believe in a particular faith because you're not a Muslim, you're not a Hindu. Why aren't you a Hindu? Because you happen to have been brought up in America, not in India. If you'd been brought up in India, you'd be a Hindu. If you were brought up in Denmark in the time of the Vikings, you'd be believing in Wotan and Thor. If you were brought up in classical Greece, you'd be believing in Zeus. If you were brought up in Central Africa, you'd be believing in the great Juju up the mountain. I mean, there's no particular reason to pick on the Judeo-Christian God in which by the sheerest accident you happen to have been brought up and ask me the question, what if I'm wrong? What if you're wrong about the great Juju at the bottom of the sea?
Science is constantly proved all the time. You see, if we take something like any fiction, any holy book, in any other fiction, and destroyed it, okay, in 1,000 years' time, that wouldn't come back just as it was. Whereas if we took every science book, right, and every fact, and destroyed them all, in 1,000 years, they'd all be back, because all the same tests would be the same result.
That's good. That's really good.
So
That's really good.
I don't need faith in science. I don't need faith to know that probably if I jump out of a window, every other time someone jumped out, they smash to the ground because of this thing called gravity. What I loved about Jesus was he was kind, and he was brave, and I thought he was amazing. And I thought he was brilliant, like just a brilliant guy, you know. So I was about 8, and my brother must have been 19. He came in once, and I was doing something from the Bible, and I said, what are you doing? I said, oh, drawing Jesus. And he went, who was Jesus? And I said, well, he was the Son of God. He went, why do you believe in God? Right? And my mum went, Bob, shut up. And I knew she had something to hide. And he was telling the truth. And I knew from body language. And then I worked it out, and I was an atheist in an hour.
In an hour?
Yeah. That's true.